Good evening. We will call this March 20th, the first day of spring, 2025 Board of Bismarck Park Commissioners to order. Julie, if you will call the roll, please.
Commissioner Gilbertson.
I am here.
Herzog.
Here.
Redmond.
Here.
Jeske.
Here.
President Zimmerman.
Here. Second item on the agenda is a Pledge of Allegiance. If you would all rise, please, and join us. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Item 3 on the agenda is approval of the agenda.
I move to.
Go ahead.
Commissioner Jeske moves.
I'll
Commissioner
second that.
Gilbertson will second that motion. Any further questions on the agenda? Not, I'll ask Julie to call the roll, please.
Commissioner Gilbertson.
Aye.
Herzog.
Yes.
Redmond.
Aye.
Jeske.
Aye.
President Zimmerman.
Aye. Item 4 on tonight's agenda is our featured partners in program, and we're fortunate to have with us tonight Brandon Wilkins is our specialist on the upcoming state amateur basketball tournament, and you can tell that Brandon's the man for a basketball tournament here. So good evening, Brandon, welcome, and give us the update, please, on the tournament.
Well, good evening, Commissioners. Thank you for the opportunity. As you were saying, the North Dakota State Amateur Basketball Tournament will be held in Bismarck this year. It's next weekend, March 28th, 29th, and 30th. So during the tournament, we use Century, Legacy, and Bismarck High as our kind of our main courts that we use for the tournament. And this year, we also had to add in Wachter Middle School because we needed 3 more courts because we end up with 116 teams this year. So as of today, yeah. So last time when it was here in 2022, I think we had like 106 or 105. So we're up a little bit this year. So that's good. Another good thing that we did this year is we started a high school division. So this is the first year that we've done that. We got 7 high school teams that are going to play, which is very good for us. We didn't know what we were going to get for response for that. Tried to get it out to as many schools and place in North Dakota where young kids could see it. So we got 7 teams, which is good for us, trying to get maybe some younger kids to start playing in our tournament, kind of get some of the same people over and over again, and our numbers had kind of been dropping. So last year we voted on trying to get a high school division just to get some younger kids playing, and hopefully they have a good experience and start telling more people, and we can get some more people, more teams in the high school division. Right now it's just boys teams. We open it up to boys and girls. There was not any girls teams that signed up this year. Hopefully, like I said, in the coming years we can get some girls teams and some more boys teams to get in it, and just to get experience and kind of learn what it's all about. So yeah, we're excited. We got most of the work done, getting all the brackets done and all that stuff. I think I'm seeing brackets in my sleep right now, but getting closer to getting that stuff done, so we're getting ready to go.
Questions for Brandon? Commissioner Jeske?
Thank you, President Zimmerman. So,
I'm sorry.
okay.
Commissioner Jeske, go ahead,
Okay,
please.
thank you. Brandon, so how many volunteers does it take to put on a tournament like this? Paid and unpaid volunteers, I guess.
We'll have a site supervisor at each of our locations. So then ticket takers. So between officials, we'll have 50 to 60 officials to work. We have probably 160-ish games to play, and score clock keepers, bookkeepers. It'll probably be 150, I would guess, between kind of in and out. We don't have ticket takers will have different shifts. So obviously, I would say probably about 100 to 150 people will be working throughout the weekend between, from ourselves to, kind of in the headquarters to calling scores in, putting them on our website to get a digital version of that so people can check the brackets and stuff like that. So it's quite a big undertaking, and thankfully we got a lot of great help from the parks staff, some volunteers, and a lot of the officials that work our adult league. We have officials coming from across the state, from Dickinson, Fargo, kind of all over the place. So luckily for us, we have some guys that are still willing to do that. It's kind of becoming tougher and tougher job to do. Officiating, especially some of the, the older guys and that kind of trying to hold on to the glory years, it seems sometimes. But yeah, we're very lucky to have that. And then we have scorekeepers and bookkeepers that have come back for 30 and 40 years to help us out. So we're extremely lucky for those people.
And are you still in need of volunteers, Brandon? And if people are interested in volunteering, how do they go about doing so?
I think we got pretty much everything covered. We were looking for a couple ticket takers as of this afternoon, but I think we got those covered. So I think we're pretty good. I have to check with I'd have a couple guys doing our refs and bookkeepers and stuff, but I think they're pretty solid too. So as of now, we're good for all the volunteers that we're going to need.
Thank you.
Any, Commissioner Redmond?
Brandon, thanks. I know it takes a lot of work, a lot of details, and I know you work with a team, so I just appreciate the work that you and your crew do. And I know it's long days and long hours, but I hope you have some fun too, so thanks.
It is, yes. And I'm also going to say, if anybody wants, if you guys want to come and watch some games or something, let me know. We'll get some passes, and you guys can come and kind of check out what goes on. Our headquarters is up at Legacy, but any place you want to go check out any of the games throughout the weekend. Start at 4:30 on Friday. 4:30 till about 9-ish probably, and then all day Saturday, and then we start at 8 on Sunday, and we get done probably around 4. So if you guys, let us know. We can get you some passes and get in and check out some games and see what's going on.
Good luck. Have fun.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Other commissioners, Brandon, I have a couple questions I want to check with other commissioners. Brandon, you mentioned high school teams, so I'm not following high school sports a lot, so I take it regular basketball season is over across the state, so they can participate in this. Are we saying, let's say, double Class A team comes in and plays a team from, say, a small town? Are you bracketing them in some way?
Well, right now there are 2 state tournaments that are being played this weekend yet. The Division A and the Division B are playing yet this weekend. But we let them know that, hey, if you still want to play, we'll get you in if you're waiting for your team to lose out or wait for your season to get over. So hopefully, maybe we get another team or 2. Don't know for sure. As far as the teams, like this year, we had 7 teams, so it's kind of hard to break them up into different divisions. We would, as of right now, we have a lot of the smaller schools that are making teams, which is okay for us. There's a team from like Granville, Beulah, Belfield, places like that. There's a couple Bismarck teams mixed in there too. So, right now we're just kind of putting everybody together and saying, see what you can do. And then if we start getting more popular, we're hoping to maybe break it up into like double A teams and A, or if we get enough of each division, then we can break them up and to that division.
Brandon, what is, let's say, the percentage of Bismarck Mandan teams compared to out-of-town teams?
I would
Roughly?
say Bismarck, Mandan, and Minot probably make up 90 to 95% of the teams. We don't get a lot of teams from the east. They typically have had their big tournament out in Fargo called the Grand Am, which is usually run at the same weekend. So in the past, we've never gotten any teams from there, but I think they've changed the weekend for that. But I think we have probably 3 or 4 teams from Fargo, a couple from Dickinson, and then out west. But east is not very popular with us. And then I would say probably 90 to 95% are in Bismarck, Mandan, and Minot teams.
Thank you. Last question, you mentioned headquarters is at Legacy High School?
Yep.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioners. Did that generate any other thoughts or questions?
Good.
Well, Brandon, our thanks and good luck for a successful tournament. Hopefully the weather holds and all the folks get into town. Have a good time.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is a disposition of bids on some concrete projects. And David Mayer, it has here as our finance director, but I'm not sure of that. No.
President Zimmerman, I don't think I've been reassigned. So I will
Thank you, Dave.
present
Go
this
ahead. Go
present
ahead,
this
please.
to you as the operations director tonight. Yes, as you had mentioned, we put a bid packet out for some concrete improvements in the Park District on March 11th. We opened the bids, had some pretty good interest, which was favorable for us. I'm happy to see that. The results are that of the 4 projects, our recommendations are that project 1, 2, and 4 be awarded to Paramount Builders in the total amount of $96,980, and project 3 be awarded to Brando's Concrete in the amount of $10,881. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Questions from commissioners? Commissioner Redmond?
Dave, I was just wondering, what are the concrete projects at each one of these places? Probably just getting in the weeds a little bit, but I was just wondering what those projects were.
President Zimmerman and Commissioners, Commissioner Redmond, Project 1 is an improvement down at General Sibley Park and Campground. Our plan is to move forward with a single site trash collection, like you see at pretty much every campground across the state. We're one of the few that has all the multiple garbage cans throughout the campground. We're trying to consolidate them so it's all at one collection location. Easier for pickup. It moves the waste away from the campers, so hopefully we have fewer hornets and wasps and that kind of thing in the campground, and bees. Project 2 is at Holland Field down at Cottonwood Park. We are adding concrete in front of the dugouts, and we'll be making improvements on top of that by putting some guardrails there. There's no protection for the dugouts right now, so 3.5 foot tall guardrail that we're going to have fabricated, as well as adding some concrete outside of the field to improve the concourse for circulation for spectators. Project 3 is Sleepy Hollow Park. The large shelter that is there, the old concrete underneath that shelter, needs to be replaced. This is half of the project there. The other half is to paint the underside of that shelter. We will be putting out a quote shortly to paint the underside of the decking as well as the support structure for that, so give it a little facelift. And then Project 4 is down at Wildwood's Horseshoe Complex in Sertoma Park. We are adding some concrete slabs and in certain areas some additional walkways to improve accessibility and to put down new bleachers for spectators for that complex.
Great, thanks.
Other questions from commissioners? Commissioner Gilbertson?
No, President Zimmerman, I would just move that the board approve the bids for the concrete work, projects 1, 2, and 4 to Paramount Builders in the amount of $96,380.
980.
900 and that's why I was a social studies teacher. And project 3 to Brando's Concrete for the amount of $10,881. For total cost of $107,861.
Second.
Motion made and second, motion by Commissioner Gilbertson, second by Commissioner Redmond. Any further discussion? I always ask, David, when will these be done? Weather dependent, of course.
President Zimmerman and Commissioners, that's a good question. They all vary. Each one of these locations, partner groups, baseball, softball, down at General Sibley, we have to work around the schedule of each location. We're shooting for the end of the year. The end of construction season, jokingly, but most of them won't start until after major events are done, so most of the work will be done in August.
Thank you. Any further questions? If not, we'll call for the roll, please.
Commissioner Gilbertson?
Aye.
Herzog?
Yes.
Redmond?
Aye.
Jeske? President Zimmerman?
Aye. Thank you, David.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is our 2026 budget development. Our Finance Director, Kathy Feist, will review our 2026 budget development schedule. Good evening, Kathy.
Good evening, President Zimmerman and Commissioners. In your agenda packet is a schedule for the proposed plan to develop the 2026 budget. The process will start tomorrow. I will distribute the information to the managers to request their input for any requests that they have to be included or funded in the 2026 budget. That information will be due back to their director, and then the directors will submit that to Executive Director Klipfel and myself by May 7th. We will review that information, and we will then have internal meetings with staff to determine additional information or prioritize and put that information together. On June 19th, we will present the proposed work plan to the commissioners. We will provide that to you in your budget binder for review, and then we will be scheduling with each of the commissioners meetings with directors and with the commissioners to go through those proposed budget plans. On July 17th, we will introduce the budget, so that will be at the regular park board meeting on July 17th, and then on September 11th, the public hearing will be scheduled. That is the proposed plan timeline for the 26th development of the budget. Are there any questions?
Commissioners, any questions for Kathy? Kathy, I would ask, and perhaps for folks here or listening in, impact on any pending legislation to budget considerations?
President Zimmerman and Commissioners, we are aware that there are some pending legislation or proposals being considered in the legislature right now that will impact our budgeting for 2026. The most common one, or the one that seems to have the most favorable appeal to the legislatures, would be capping our property tax increase by 3%. We are well aware of those bills that are being proposed, and we are monitoring those. We would hope that, or we know that the session will be over by the time that we start to really put together our budget plan for 2026, so we will know what the impact would be at that time. We will take all the input from the managers and the directors and prioritize and make adjustments as needed to make sure that we're in compliance with any legislation that does pass this session.
And I thank you for that, Kathy, because I think folks may be questioning that, saying, well, you know, how can you develop a budget when that's still pending? But the timeline's going to work.
Correct.
I would say to all the folks, you know, we do have that September 11th date for public hearing. I know that's a number of months away, but, you know, if you have some concerns and, you know, want to, you know, please contact the park office as we start developing budget. That comes quick. But thank you, Kathy. Any other questions from commissioners?
Not
Commissioner
a question,
Gilbertson?
just, I guess the statement too is just that I'm, in all my time in serving on the board, both stints, that this is one of the processes that I think is, our district does amazingly well on. The staff we have, I don't, even when I sat in that chair, I don't know that I felt ever uncomfortable with what the staff presented, as the staff is well aware that we present a balanced budget and we follow the budget, and we have an amazing finance staff and an amazing staff all the way around that knows what the operating parameters are and sticks with them. So I appreciate that because it is, I have never felt uncomfortable in getting that information. So thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Redmond, you had your light on there. Any other commissioners? Thank you, Kathy. Our next item on the agenda is a discussion on supporting of House Bill 1020, which is the budget for the North Dakota Department of Water Resources, which includes funds allocated for the South Bismarck Flood Control Project. This would could impact some Park District property. So our intent tonight was to discuss the consideration for the board to offer support of this bill, which, as again, would include funding for the South Bismarck Flood Control Project. And I'll give the floor to Commissioner Herzog.
Well, thanks, President Zimmerman and Commissioners. This had been brought up to me because it probably doesn't fall under the state North Dakota Parks and Rec legislative outlook, because there's very specific water projects that are falling within the state water commission budget. So I talked to the city engineer, Gabe Shell, as we've obviously been talking about this South Bismarck flood control project and how it's going to be funded. They had mentioned, Jason Tomanik and Gabe had mentioned they were here a few meetings ago, that they were pursuing some state dollars to help offset what that would cost us locally. And so this is kind of what they are supporting. My Remarkable's not working with me today, but it would be Section 17. So if we did offer a support letter, and when I talked to Gabe Shell, he said, we just stay in our lane and say we're supportive of, this Bismarck portion of this project. You don't have to do the whole Water Commission's budget. The bill number is 1020. I think that's on the agenda. I will just read it because it's only a paragraph. So Section 17, State Water Commission, the South Bismarck Stormwater and Flood Control Project funding legislative intent. The State Water Commission may not approve state funding for the South Bismarck Stormwater and Flood Control Project in excess of $73 million without getting legislative approval. It is the intent of the 69th Legislative Assembly that the State Water Commission provide funding for stormwater and flood control project in South Bismarck that is largely ineligible for its cost share program. And of that $73 million, $20 million is provided from funds appropriated to the Department of Water Resources for flood control in Section 1 of that act. So essentially, we would just be supporting what the city has also supported, and Gabe Shell gave testimony on supporting, getting some dollars from the state to help offset some of the flood control dollars should we go that route. So I just said I'd bring it to the board and have some discussion. I think it's something we could support, and I think it's probably going to pass anyway, but I don't know that it hurts for us to say, yes, we would support, some assistance from the state on the flood control project. So would love to get your guys' thoughts.
Commissioner Jeske?
Thank you, President Zimmerman. I mean, if Commissioner Gilbertson would like to go
Gilbertson,
first,
did
he had
you
his
wish-
hand up. So.
Go
Sure.
ahead, Commissioner Gilbertson.
President Zimmerman, Commissioner Herzog, and Council Executive Director Klipfel. Obviously, there's the upside to doing it. Is there any downside? If it doesn't pass, if it wouldn't pass, does that put us, is there any downside to us doing this?
President Zimmerman and Commissioner Gilbertson, we're just showing our support for the project. I don't see any downside for us for that.
That's what I wanted to know.
Commissioner Jeske?
President Zimmerman. So my question is we are not the only taxing entity that would be involved with this project, correct? Because it affects us and the fact that it's on our property, but we're going to probably end up having to do some type of, mill or something to finance the project, correct? So what about the school board? Why are they not asking the school board? And would it be a more powerful statement if we combined our letter with a letter from the school board?
Commissioner Herzog?
President Zimmerman, Commissioner Jeske, I think that is very appropriate to ask them to put in a letter of support as well. The city did put in a letter of support. I'm not sure where the county sits on it, but I would be fine, we're reaching out to the school board and saying, this is a huge project for Bismarck. And it'd be nice for, especially the western part of North Dakota, to get some flood assistance from the state, since the eastern part of the state has gotten quite a bit of cash.
Commissioner Redmond?
Commissioner Herzog, are you thinking this is a form of all of the board, like a letter in form of, that would be sent, email, letter, or testimony? Because the hearing has already taken place, correct?
Right.
So what does this look like? Letter of support, if you could explain that.
Sure. President Zimmerman, Commissioners, Commissioner Redmond, I think what we would do is just put in a letter of support that goes to the committee and then our local delegation, so that when it does hit the floor, that they know that we are supportive of that portion of the State Water Commission budget.
Commissioner Jeske?
Kind of piggybacking off of that, Commissioner Herzog. So should the ask come from Executive Director Clipfel? I'm a little confused on why you were involved in this as opposed to them asking Executive Director Clipfel, and not be disrespectful to you.
Sure, yeah.
But I just feel like maybe he was leapfrogged a little bit.
Somebody reached, President Zimmerman, Commissioner, someone reached out to me and asked me about it, and I had reached out to Kevin to ask him about if we could put it on the agenda and have the discussion, so.
I would address all the commissioners. My concern is, you know, we go in with a letter of support. I have a question, what are we supporting? You know, to know that we understand it's just the general effort of the city to secure the funding. We're not saying, I don't want to be cutting specifics here, but I have a concern if the project is at, you know, Clem Kelly, you know, which one are we supporting? I don't know if you understand what I'm saying, if it's option 2A or whatever they were in our letter of support. It's almost like the chicken before the egg or whatever here, that we're supporting this project and we don't know what this project is. I have no problem in saying overall, yes, the Park District has an impact in this. Hopefully the school district would agree. But I don't want us to get too far ahead of it. And again, I think of our user groups as well. You know, that if it was noticed that, you know, say from softball folks or the tennis folks or the pickleball folks to say, why do you support this project when we don't know what project it is that we're supporting? Again, maybe the intent of the letter could be, or the statement that we support the city in applying for the funding without saying, yeah, this is the one we're going to get. I don't know if I'm making sense. I don't want to get too specific that then people say, well, why didn't you support that project when that's not the one it's going to be? I don't know if that makes sense. Commissioner Jeske.
President Zimmerman, I understand what you're saying. I'm wondering if we do anything at this point, if we would maybe make a motion to have Executive Director Clipfel work with the appropriate city officials and then also involve the school board if necessary, and the conversation starts there and a letter being drafted from that.
You're saying, Commissioner Jeske, to make the action to a possible letter, not to have a discussion and come back. I'm just concerned on legislative timeline.
Yeah.
Commissioner
Zimmerman, so
Gilbertson.
The city has already submitted a letter, and I mean, when I guess the way I'm taking in and processing it is, I think that a letter in general support of the city's efforts to secure funding for a project for the flood project, whatever iteration it comes of. It's not supporting this specific one, just supporting the city's efforts to obtain the funds to move the project forward.
Other discussion?
And
Go ahead, Commissioner
and
Gilbertson.
President Zimmerman, I think if there was a letter already submitted by the city, if the Park District submits a letter, that also brings some power to maybe encourage the school district to say, we have already done this, we would like you to join us. County, you know, the various entities that are affected, that, you know, we've done this, we would like you to join, just to say in general support of the efforts to secure the funding.
Commissioner Herzog.
President Zimmerman, Commissioners, yeah, I think it's appropriate that it comes from Kevin in that sort of way. The only reason I brought it to this commission was we're kind of taking a position a little bit, and so I wanted to make sure we had that discussion for everybody. But yeah, I think Kevin would be good at writing a letter that is, you know, pretty, hey, the city's already supported it, we also support it, it probably is going to affect us in some way, so we'd like to have, you know, some opportunity to secure the funding in case we go forward.
I will ask John, some input here, please, John.
Yeah, President Zimmerman, Commissioners. I guess from my perspective, you know, the commissioners as the elected officials are sort of the policymakers, so I think it would make sense for, you know, Kevin to prepare the letter and then have it be signed by the chairman of the board would be, I guess, the way that I would feel that it's most appropriate.
Other thoughts? Thank you, John. I think that's, appreciate your input on it as well. Other thoughts? Executive Director Klipfel, any input there? Do we have a motion?
President Zimmerman, I would move that the Board of Park Commissioners would direct the Executive Director, Kevin Klipfel, to draft a letter in general support of House Bill 1020 and the City of Bismarck's efforts to secure funding for the South Bismarck Flood Control Project.
Very good. A second?
I will second that.
Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Commissioner Jeske? No. All right, if not, I'll ask Julie to call the roll, please.
Commissioner Gilbertson,
Aye.
Herzog,
Yes.
Redmond,
Aye.
Jeske,
Aye.
President Zimmerman.
Thank you. Thank you, yeah. Yes. Thank you. Now, thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Herzog, for bringing that to the board's attention. I think it's a worthwhile effort on the part of the Board of Park Commissioners. And thank you all for your input. And John, again, thank you for giving us some insight there as well to move this forward. Executive Director Klipfel, I think it would be of prudence to do the letter as quickly as possible. I don't know what the schedule is, but sooner than later to get it up there. Thank you. Item 8 is the consent agenda, and please allow me to read through that. A variety of items have been placed in a consent agenda. The consent agenda can be approved with one motion, or an item or items can be removed for additional discussion and separate action. Staff recommends approval of the following items: consideration of the February 20th and 2025 board minute meetings. The meetings were included in our packet for consideration. Request board approval for apply for various grants. Operations Director David Mayer has provided a memo. There's some good information there. Consideration of agreements with the Burleigh County Companion Agreement. Operations Director David Mayer has provided a memo with information about the Companion Agreement, as well as the agreement which was approved by the Burleigh County Commission. These documents are standard procedure for the North Dakota Department of Transportation's Transportation Alternative Grant that was approved for this project. The BSC Aquatic and Wellness Center operating agreement with the Bismarck State College. A memo and updated agreement are included for the Commissioner's information and consideration. 2025 fertilizer bids of Facilities and Program Director Mike Wald has provided information in the packet for the board's consideration. Request authorization to add a firm SRF to the approved list of engineering, architect, and planning services. SRF has provided the required documents. Staff recommends board approval to add them to the approved list for 2025-2026. Consideration of consultant agreement for General Sibley Electric Project and request to call for bids. Staff recommends board approval of the consultant agreement with Apex Engineering Group for the General Sibley Park Electrical Project and approval to call for bids. Finally, a request to dispose of obsolete items and refer to the information provided by Operations Director David Mayer. Is there any items on the consent agenda that commissioners would wish to have removed at this time for further consideration? Commissioner Redmond.
President Zimmerman, I just had one question, if we could pull the item about one of the approval of various grants.
All right, we'll hold on that.
Just a quick question, yep, please.
Any other requests? All right, we can, I would entertain a motion to move the consent agenda with the exception of the item for further discussion on the various grant approvals. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Herzog moved?
Jeske.
I'm sorry, Commissioner Jeske moved, Commissioner Gilbertson second. Any further discussion? Julie, if you'll call the roll, please.
Commissioner Gilbertson,
Aye.
Herzog,
Yes.
Redmond,
Aye.
Jeske,
Aye.
President Zimmerman.
Aye. Commissioner Redmond, if
Thank
you have a
you.
question?
Yes, I have a question on and Dave Mears' memo about requesting for, apply for spring grants, the one about the Outdoor Recreation Legacy Partnership Program, I was very excited to see about requesting a grant for some updates at Wachter Pool. When, you could probably answer this question for me, Executive Director Clipville, when would we be notified? The last sentence is the program is a 50-50 match, and if awarded, the design would begin in early 2026, and the construction would begin as early as fall of 2026. So when would we be notified if we possibly, and I realize a grant is, it's not a promise, it's a grant, and so when would we possibly be notified?
President Zimmerman and Commissioners, Commissioner Redmond, the timeline for that is tentatively, we would hope to hear by November or December of '25 on, we get a, they call it a pre-approved letter.
So our 26 budget would already be approved at that time. Dang. So just, that'll probably come up in our budget discussion. So I'm just really interested in how we can move some projects forward at Wachter Pool for 26, so, okay.
President Zimmerman and Commissioners, Commissioner Redmond, that's something that we, as we go through the grant application and the budget process, it's probably a project that would be funded over 2 fiscal years, probably 26 and 27, so we'd have some flexibility there, but we could look at that in a little more detail as we go through the budget process.
That'd be great. That was my only question. Thank you so much.
Thank you, David, and Director Clipville. And thank you, Commissioner Redmond, for
Yes,
bringing that up. I
course.
visited with Kevin on some of the timelines as well with the pool, so it's good to have that discussion. Any other questions then? So we have the next agenda item is approval
Do we
of
need-
bills.
We need to approve that.
Oh, I'm sorry, okay, we'll approve that last consent item. Do we have a motion to approve?
I would
the-
move that we approve the request for board approval to apply for various grants.
Second?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Gilbertson, second by Commissioner Redmond. Any further discussion? If not, Julie, if you'll call the roll.
Commissioner Gilbertson?
Aye.
Herzog?
Yes.
Redmond?
Aye.
Jeske?
Aye.
President Zimmerman?
Aye. Item 8 is approval of bills.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Gilbertson, second by Commissioner Redmond. Julie, if you'll call the roll, please.
Commissioner Gilbertson?
Aye.
Herzog?
Yes.
Redmond?
Aye.
Jeske?
Aye.
President Zimmerman?
Aye. Before we adjourn the meeting tonight, just a couple comments, if I may. Of course, I invite folks to get out and enjoy the parks as we come into some warmer weather. I compliment our staff. I see they've been out working. There's been some tree removals in the parks. The trails are looking good. So thanks to our staff for all of that. I would also like to publicly recognize one of our department staff that recently retired. Tim Nelson, Park Operations, retired after 36 years. And as I understand, he did not show up for work today because he's retired after 36 years. So we want to congratulate Tim and thank him for a very long and dedicated service to the Park District and the citizens that enjoy the parks. So
Make mention of our next board meeting.
our next regular scheduled meeting is April 17th, 2025, at 5:15 in the fabulous Tom Baker Meeting Room. Meeting adjourned.